Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Untitled Sickos Project. I am your local ordinator of chaos, the MaskedAura. And oh boy, it's finally time to talk about hockey. I have been waiting days for this. It's been far too long. It's been far too long. It's been eons. I've missed this sport. This sport is amazing. Joining me today, we have...
Hello, I am Nickman. I am resident, the local Golden Knights fan. And it's been a while since we've done hockey on this channel, but today feels like a good day to change that.
Yes, the Vegas Golden Giga Chad himself is here.
Hockey's
And oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, fine. Hi, it's me, Noah Chronister. Or, I just revealed my real name now. Anyway.
Get doxed, you idiot.
Wait, how do you how do you spell your last name?
CHRONISTER.
C-H-I...
No, R.
R.
CHR.
C-H-R-O-N...
IS.
I-S...
Hey, you wouldn't happen to be a
And
basketball player, would you?
Okay.
Oh my god!
Oh, no, wait, that was easy!
You're Here you
Okay,
are
cool.
at Susquehanna High School.
You did the same thing, too? You added him on Facebook?
No, I literally Googled Noah Chronister, and his Huddle profile came up.
What?
What a start!
We are at a perfect start.
Spencer hasn't even introduced himself yet.
Yeah,
Go Flyers, by the way.
yeah. I'm my name is Carsausage, and despite any allegations towards such a fact, or the fact that I really enjoyed myself when I went, I am not yet a furry. Because your boy went to a furry con this past week. That's why I wasn't here. Who knows? The sickos might be at First Squared soon enough.
What goes vintage?
Listen, it needs to be said, must be said that this is the same furry con in Wisconsin where Spencer accidentally shouted out loud, "Fuck the Packers."
Chat,
That
that's
just
so
means
real.
we're built for it. We're born for it. It's too easy, coach. It's too easy.
Okay, just imagine being in a small room in Wisconsin and you're having a conversation with other people and then you randomly hear, "Fuck the Packers."
I was really hoping it was just gonna scream "Boat Goes Bented."
That's the newest meme that Luke is on, because
I think I'm gonna be on this meme for a good long time.
Because everybody's favorite Aladdin parrot allegedly is really into like digital anime women.
What?
If Aaron Rodgers signs with the Vikings, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
Also, sign of a giant, which would be really funny.
it'd be funny. It's a move that like we all see that just wouldn't work. It predictably just wouldn't work out. Like we all would know it wouldn't do. But like,
it would allow us to do the funniest possible tweet. Mr. President, a second New York team has signed Aaron Rodgers.
the second New York team has believed that Aaron Rodgers is certainly the guy that is, going to really be the guy that really just brings it around.
I'm just glad that as an NFC North fan, people are finally catching on to what a colossal asshole Rodgers is and has always been, frankly.
Oh, he's a he is just again like there are stories that came out that essentially said he intentionally went against his own head coach, like straight up out of his way.
Like there's a reason
Right.
there's a reason that so many of Rogers's people who he didn't like them, they didn't like him. So many of them deflected to Minnesota just so they could play him twice a year.
Mm-hmm. Like Aaron Rodgers is a cancer that nobody talks about, that everybody should be talking about. But anyways, boat goes binted, and side note: if you notice a slight interrupted in the connectivity, it's because I'm plugging my internet cable into my PC because I don't have a full 4 bars or however many bars Windows PCs go through. So yeah, I'm just putting a direct internet cable in. Just
Yeah, if you're Aaron Rodgers, and you want to get talked about more, go play hockey, because this is the hockey episode, not the Aaron Rodgers episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
anyway, folks, we have the best internet connection that, quite frankly, has ever existed on a podcast.
Okay,
Some say.
I never got any interruptions. But anyways, there is one non-hockey thing that we are going to talk about. It's something that I want people just to kind of nibble on. Because sure, yes, football can't really fuck off. But there's something that that has to be mentioned, and Spencer knows where this is going. So,
Yep.
this is the last. This is kind of like the welcome mat for the day. So everybody knows that the UFL is coming back into the fold this year. It is back for season 2, and the big story is that we could be getting an expansion. No, it's not. That's not the story. The big story. You wish I was here to bring good news. You think I'm here to bring good news? No, I'm here to bring some news that are gonna have people kind of really concerned about kind of the longevity that is of the UFL. Quarterbacks.
I'm afraid the boat has not gone binted.
Boat's not going binted here, folks. We have some reports that the quarterbacks are holding out. They have explained that the raise that they got is an insult and are holding out for a deal right before kickoff. Training camp is about to take place. Oh boy. If there ever is, it could be the biggest overreaction of our time. Or something that we really have to just pay attention to. So with this kind of logic in mind, I'm gonna propose here kind of four directions that I see the UFL going in, and I want to know what everybody thinks. Am I just a crazy conspiracy theorist? Have I just gone utterly mad with just power?
Yes.
So, we have Solution A. The UFL becomes a glorified CFL-esque league, where, sure, it expands from time to time, but it's mostly, it establishes itself as a 10-week league, doesn't really do anything outside of that, doesn't really step outside of its own boundaries. Everybody sees this league, it happens, it doesn't make money, but it's too much of a passion project to where it generates enough money to where you can kind of keep funding itself. So, there's some good news with that, right? It's kind of like the happy medium. Solution number 2. The bad ending. The UFL folds in, I'm going to be nice, in 5 to 10 years, purely because they couldn't find somebody to fund it. They couldn't find owners, because right now, nobody owns a team in the UFL, and like say in the next 5 to 10 years, they don't find that yet. They don't find somebody to own a team. And it's really, because the way how I see it, like running the UFL from a financial standpoint is a pretty significant financial burden just on its own. It's a lot of money. And especially if you have quarterbacks that are looking to make 6 figures in this league, that's a lot of money, because there's also about 51 other players to pay for it. You have coaches, right? Like, if you look at, like, how minor league baseball operates, you can operate minor league baseball, like, each, like, low A, like, A-level team, you're running at about, like, $3 million. Like, double A might go up to, like, 4, triple A might go up to, like, to $5 million. All of those combined systems together cost less than probably what it takes to run a UFL team. Which is something that is kind of not what you want to hear, especially with players holding out. So it's the thing that I kind of compare it to, and I kind of compare it to how many people in the CFL kind of sees it, is the CFL, like, you're an owner, it's nice and all, but it's basically the equivalent of owning a yacht. You don't really make money off of it. It's like a financial liability because you have to insure it because, you know, you put so much money into it, and if you lost it, then you've lost essentially, you know, a lot of money. So you kind of have that mindset where, you know, if you're not really profitable, and in the business sense, every business is, you're there just to make money. And as much as we all hate that, you can't find an owner who's willing to say, look, come and look at my yacht, i.e. football team. So you kind of have that, and you kind of have that into where it's like, you know, it's too much of a financial burden. It's, if we can't find people to buy a team, then there's nothing we can't do. Right? We can't do this. It's too much of an expense. So we're just going to have to cut ties and stop altogether. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if you can't bring in like an average of 20,000 fans and your tickets is about $20 to $30, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to really convince people that it's worth an investment to invest in this league, per se.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that, because you mentioned, like, ticket sales and all of that. Because around a week ago, I saw a story that broke that reported that the UFL had parted ways with 2 of their top ticketing executives. Mm-hmm. And this has been, you know, coming on the fact that ticket sales for the UFL this season have been, or like leading up to year 2 of the UFL experiment, have been underwhelming. So that's the reason that move got made.
Mm-hmm. Like you have like, I really like what the UFL has done, but like there's like you look. I'm gonna compare it like what it looks like with Canadian markets, and like you can bring like somebody like, what did they like? Like they brought a rapper for the opening for the BC Lions. They sold out the stadium because people got to see this concert. I forget who it was. I forget who it was.
50 Cent?
Yeah, I think it was 50 Cent or something. It was.
Yeah.
It was a rapper. The stadium was sold out, but then by halftime it was half empty. So, but like for
like half empty time.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you could get it something like that to work, right? Like you could like again, you could like the point is like you could fill a stadium with 30,000 fans. And that's not a problem, right? Like there's no, I don't think like the UFL has a problem with like 30, like the CFL has a problem, like, you know, their average ticket sales I would easily say are easily around 20,000. Right? But like the UFL, like the Birmingham Stallions are back-to-back champions, and like they can't even sell out. They can't even like sell 20,000 tickets, and the tickets aren't expensive either. They're like good seats are $20.
Yeah, and you note that on the topic of season ticket renewals and all that, they noted how like Birmingham, they've been in the top 3 cities when it comes to renewals, and they're under 40%.
Like it is with this where it says we kind of get the bad ending because it's football. Like affiliate football teams are just, there's so much work. There's a lot of work that goes into this, like paying everybody. It's hard to do. And again, it's hard to really justify continuing investing in this sort of thing when you're not really justifying your ticket sales. And an owner sees this and he goes, well, you guys aren't really selling tickets here, so how can I justify buying a stake into this if you guys aren't selling, are not at least selling enough tickets for me? Like, I think TV viewership is fine if it averages around a million people. Then I think you guys you're doing a great job. I think you're doing something right.
For the market, according to the article I've read, is that they're actually doing like really well in the TV market. Like, yeah, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what's going on in the NFL, but that's because it's the NFL. Like compared to other sports that are going on right now, the UFL is actually held its own against its competition.
Like the TV market has done really well for itself, but like the ticket sales ain't it, right? So that's where you have the bad solution where it's like having to pay 8 teams and having like whoever you currently have in your group investing in this league. You cater on that line where it's like a really financial burden with it all. So the bad ending is like we've tried for 5 to 10 years. It's just we can't bring in people to buy and fund these teams. We can't bring them in because we've seen spring leagues kind of establish themselves. They've kind of come and gone. But the thing that's just been hard to do is have an owner to say, sure, I'll come in fully knowing that I'm probably not going to make a whole lot of money here. And because of that, it's kind of hard to justify a reason for me to invest into this. So that's where it's kind of like you kind of get the bad ending where it's unfortunately there's just not enough interest in an owner coming in and buying a team. So, it's going to be interesting to see where, kind of it goes in for now on, from here on out. It's hard to kind of justify all of it in a nutshell. So it's where it's like, we've tried it, but then kind of everybody knows, oh yeah, it's kind of, it's basically impossible to have something funded, to continuously fund something like this. It was a good idea at the time, but now we're still held with the bag where we can't get somebody to continuously invest into this, right? Like, it goes back to the AAF where you just look where you had a new owner, but then the owner comes in, looks at this, and it's like, it's kind of hard to justify a reason for me to still be invested into this when we can't get enough money to go into, like, Tom Dundon, as much as we're all scoffing and hating it, he kind of saw the writing on the wall, and it's like, it's kind of hard to justify all of this. We're not getting really major TV deals, so how are we supposed to continually, fund the league like the way we are when we can't get, some form of ownership into it, right? Like, some form of, like, calm stability. Yeah. So that's kind of why he looks at this and goes, maybe I should kind of just sell what I have. Like, just buy it, and then it's like, okay, we declare bankruptcy. It was an idea, but it's something that's just not going to work out in our favor at the end of the day.
See, I understand that from Tom Dundon. I think what pissed me off about that situation is that he kind of used it to just. It almost felt like he knew that the AAF was dying when he bought what he did from it, and he just wanted to scrape the fantasy football technology for himself.
Yeah, you didn't see that as like an investment for the tech. It's more just, oh, here's an investment for myself. And that's fine. It's your money at the end of the day. You can really do what you want with it. But it's just I'm not really smiling over it, per se. So that's kind of where we have the unfortunate bad ending. We get this bad ending here. But, let's be positive for half a second for once in our lives and say, okay, here's the good ending. Here's the good ending. The good ending is the UFL gets to be established as itself as an NFL affiliate on its own. Because we all know, sure as hell, the UFL isn't going to get the support from the NFL. The UFL has to do this and fund this all on its own. It has to build the building blocks all by themselves. So, they're successful and they do it. They establish themselves as a real affiliate for the NFL. We get the good ending. We all love good endings.
Yeah. And
so we get the good ending.
As much as you say that it's a very pie in the sky thing, this good ending, there are some indicators that make me think, hey, maybe it's actually possible we get that good ending.
Mm-hmm. There's rumors of expansions, so there's already positive signs. There's already signs for a positive outcomes, and if we hear more on the lines where there's people taking an ownership, and if there's stuff that legitimately some money can be made from it, then it's here's the good ending. We get this wonderful positive ending where it's they do this all by themselves too, with no funding from the NFL. So to it more, it's they could even potentially make more money from it, because you say we've established themselves as a true affiliate for communities that have teams. How likely is it? I'm not so sure, but you still have the idea of you were successful and you actually did it. So again, it's more round of applause than everything.
If I may speak about why I think it's actually more feasible than we think. You mentioned the AAF, how it kind of floundered on television. One of the things that the UFL has going for it is that it's actually succeeding on TV, which, I'm sure that, with football being a TV sport, as much as going to a live game is a special experience for football, let's be real with ourselves. Ever since the post-war period, the NFL has been tailor-made to be on television.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the UFL has good numbers on television, and I'm sure the NFL is seeing dollar signs right now, especially since an affiliation would offer a great compromise between expanding and wanting to keep the traditional 32-team structure, because as much as we love the idea of NFL expansion, the current system they have of 2 conferences, 4 conferences per division, 2 conferences, 4 divisions per conference, 4 teams per division, is probably one of the better conference setups in sports, and I'm sure NFL higher ups would really hate breaking that up. So having this feeder league would actually be a pretty good idea to serve markets that like wouldn't traditionally be served, whether that's St. Louis or San Antonio or like Grand Rapids or Fargo or these kinds of secondary markets that the NFL has been trying to work towards, but have unfortunately not been able to do simply because of the logistical limitations of the main NFL.
Mm-hmm. And so that's where it's like, hey, they did it. Task, mission complete. You did it. And now we're going to go for the thing that I don't think enough people are really talking about. I talk about as more of the middle groundish scenario where the NFL looks at this and they say, look at what markets they have established for themselves and have say, hey, let's say, we work something where you buy a team from the UFL, but you graduate them to the NFL. Like, as an expansion team. They have the roster, the likeness, and everything. Because if you have established fans in that market, the tradition and everything, except you make them into the NFL, that is also a direction where I see. Because I think realistically, like, the NFL's talking about, like, Netflix deals and everything. But the thing that I feel what they don't know what to do is that they could do the whole, like, exclusive streaming deal without hurting the normal Sunday product. By just expanding, like, if you were expanding to 40 teams, right? You would ideally have up to 4 games, an additional 4 games per week. You wouldn't hurt the time, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. slash 4 p.m. EST slash 1 p.m. PST time slot. You wouldn't hurt that. Mm-hmm. It's something that you wouldn't hurt at all, right? You wouldn't hurt that time slot whatsoever, right? Like that's like a time slot that you still keep. And you get to have your money eat it too. And you got to make sure, as long as like the local like Fox, CBS can stream the game too, so locals don't miss out on it, right? So like you could still have that, and it would still work. And if you use teams like, say, the St. Louis Battlehawks, the DC Defenders, the Showboats, the Brahmas, right, markets that don't have a football team, and the Birmingham Stallions, markets that don't have a team, but have established a fan base and tradition already, I think you're looking at an instant success. And not only that, you would bring in more attention from the locals in that area if simply made it into the NFL. Like, it's easy expansion. And to me, if you're looking like you're kind of on the verge of, hey, looks like we're not gonna be able to make it long, and the NFL's like, you know what, we need to talk about expansions more. You kind of have this happy middle ground where you have teams with established fan bases that we can smack into the NFL and continue to grow the NFL in markets that have already been established without us, basically. So it's an idea that I've been kind of mulling on, even just on a simple drive home, and it's just like, well, what if the UFL were to just feed the NFL teams? Like, it tests out markets, and like attractions becomes known for that, where the UFL kind of exists as a place where if there's enough support, fan support for it, you more just graduate into the NFL if there's enough support in the market for it.
Oh, so it becomes like a casting couch for the NFL.
Yeah, basically, it becomes a casting couch for the NFL, and it's to where it's something that you hit 2 birds with 1 stone, because the easiest thing is the St. Louis Battlehawks, and they are the best example of a market that would work for the NFL because you already have tradition, you already have Kaka as the law, you have people know who the Battlehawks are. You look at an outsider can look at the Battlehawks logo and know exactly who they are. They're the most recognized team in all of spring football. They're more recognized than the back-to-back-to-back spring football champions, the Stallions, which is just like the asinine part of it. So, you have this up your potential pocket and just goes to be like, well, just why doesn't the NFL... And again, the NFL entirely does this as a way to remove competition from other markets, like other leagues trying to compete with the NFL. I mean, we already know it's you can't compete with the NFL. The NFL is king. You can't.
Yeah, just look at the 2001 and XFL.
Mm-hmm. The USFL tried to, when the USFL was happening, there was an idea, was like, oh, we just need to compete with the NFL. They didn't. They They realized that, oh fuck, we can't compete with the NFL. But it's a low chance, but essentially, you'd be all entirely removing that from the NFL. Sorry, from the UFL. From being the NFL is purely dominant. And the best part is the UFL has built a fan base just for us. We can now run with it as is, as the teams are, with rosters and all. Sure, they'll have the whole expansion franchise. But essentially, they can build their roster through the expansion, draft, free agency, and you already have a pool of players that are already in your team too, that fans know that could potentially carve out a backup role or maybe even a starter role. Will they be very good? No. But you know what? The fans are going to be happy that they're going to be an NFL team, and who knows, in up to 5 years, they'll be a competitive team. And I think there's enough talent to go around that's going to help them. It's there's not going to be an objectively worse team. I think there's a lot of talent coming out of college football. Most teams can argue have a starting quarterback and up to 2 wide receivers that could be ones elsewhere. So, I think there's a lot more potential to expanding and looking at the UFL that people are not really talking about. If you kind of get what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
I see the vision. There is also what I believe to be the nightmare ending, which is worse than the bad ending.
Let's hear the nightmare ending.
Okay, so the nightmare ending is basically, yes, the UFL finds an owner, but you know who has a lot of money? Elon Musk.
Oh.
And
I don't think Elon Musk is remotely interested.
Well, here comes the even worse part, which makes it a true nightmare ending. Hey, you know what's cheaper than real players?
AI.
How about AI generated players?
Oh god.
And then the UFL just basically an AI generated form of football.
I think that's like a 0.1.
And then it's only used for, and its only use is to suck money out of degenerate gamblers who basically insist on running daily fantasy even when it wouldn't be feasible to and basically it only exists for the absolute lowest of low gambling.
I mean, unfortunately, every ESPN broadcast of the UFL is just something that I just can't stand because, I mean, unfortunately, the thing that's going to fund this league is garbage degenerate gambling.
Right, but, you want to talk about garbage degenerate gambling, how about, players that can't get hurt. So you can have like, you could theoretically have like 8 games a day, and it's like.
Yeah, no, that I don't think we're there yet because I think you just do that with the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, it probably would happen. I mean, with the way I look at the whole UFL situation, and this is going back to the very start of the conversation about, like the financial situation and the fact that players are unhappy. I don't think I'm trying to like balance it where it's like I don't want to overreact to the situation, but I also don't want to underreact to the situation where it's like I'm dismissing the possibility of how this can play out. But I also don't want to go like, I don't want to overreact to it because I know that players were still showing up. Like, it's just the status of it right now is that players have shown up, but they are unhappy. They're not happy with some of the things that the UFL are currently doing. Now, what it really says to me, because when I see a spring football league is having financial trouble, a football league in the spring is having financial trouble, the alarm bells go off in my head because I still remember what happened last year. I still have Arena Football League flashbacks. So when I see that, the alarm bells in my head go off. Granted, it would take an absolute disaster class, and I mean by disaster class, I mean it would take a serious amount of actual stupidity and not just effort, because I think effort is not enough to replicate what the Arena Football League accomplished last year. It would take something truly catastrophic for the UFL to ever reach to that low of a level. But looking at the UFL right now and going forward, what's the future hold? Like, I feel like the situation, what it tells me, it's less says for me, like, about, like, the current stuff and how things are gonna play out, and more about, okay, what is the long-term plan for the UFL? Because that's what I'm wondering. What is the long-term goal here? I have a vision as to what the goal is, because it's probably they want to, keep being an established league, and perhaps if they play their cards right, they could find business with the NFL or get some ownership in the league. But that's of course the long-term plan, and how I feel the UFL will handle this can really determine to me how well the UFL has like a plan to deal with these issues, or what does like the long-term vision look like? Because once again, I don't think the UFL is too worried about it right now, because even though attendance can be better, ticket sales can be better, they are doing well on the TV markets, they're doing well on the broadcast, and of course at the end of the day, that's always something that a football league like the UFL needs to have. But it's just really a wait and see. It's going to be a wait and see with what happens with the UFL and how the situation plays out, whether good or bad, could really say a lot about them.
And of course, there's the what did I eat last night ending, which is where, the Rock is there to announce kickoff, and then, they do talk a little bit about, like, they need, the players are looking for somebody that they can believe in, and you know what people believe in? Joe Hendry, baby!
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go. I'm glad you did that, Spencer. Very proud of you.
Yeah. Basically, just like, it was either going to be a Joe Hendry joke or just like Steve Austin bursting in and.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's something that kind of was on my ADD brain. So yeah, expect a week 0 video. Probably 9 days before kickoff. Kind of see where that lands with my other fellow podcast members if they have anything lined up. And that's it about football. No more bloody football until
Okay, I was wondering
2
if we were going to
weeks.
talk about hockey, which is.
I'm so sorry. My ADD brain was like, as much as I'm ready for hockey, but there's this UFL thing that's just been really knocking on my brain right now.
Hey,
all right, hockey. Four nations face off. The NHL.
Fuck Donald Trump. Congratulations to Canada.
Hold on, let's not take our victory lap. I'll wait to take my victory lap. Thank you very much. We gotta get some time before I start running victory laps around America.
I'm doing my victory lap against the American government. So wait your fucking turn, you knucklehead.
We're the fucking ones that won the whole thing. Wait your turn, you future Canadian you. When you're in Canada, then you could do victory laps right next to me. So, anyways, what did you guys think of the Four Nations face-off?
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, fuck Donald Trump. That's all I can say.
It was the best. It's the best All-Star game I've seen in a while. The first time in a while where I felt that the All-Star game was taken seriously. Well, the All-Star game's always been pretty fine, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I will say, can we finally have the conversation about Austin Matthews being a choker?
They have. This is nothing new.
This is nothing new. And also, Maple Leafs fans, we have to take out the whiteboard and write, I will not hate on Mitch Marner. I will not hate on Mitch Marner. I will not hate on Mitch Marner. Because, for a contract year, the game-winning goal versus Sweden, setting up the game-winning goal to win the entire tournament, Wait, why can't Mitch Marner do this for the Maple Leafs when it comes to the playoffs? Because if he
maybe he needs to wear red instead of blue.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Marner to the Red Wings?
No,
it's Michigan, baby, Michigan.
No, Spencer, it would be the Montreal Canadiens with Ottawa Senators.
Yeah,
either that or the Maple Leafs become the Red Leafs.
Oh, that's true. We need to become the Red Leafs.
Or you guys talk about the government is talking about making Canada its 51st state. Well, why don't you make Michigan another province? That way he can join the Red Wings and not have to leave Canada.
We've already proposed, since Canada won the whole tournament, I get to pick 3 states to join Canada as the 11th province, 11th, 12th, and 13th province. So, I've talked with the council, and we have selected the following states to immediately join the glorious country that is Canada. We have selected the beautiful evergreen state of Washington. It is truly a beautiful state. Originally was supposed to be part of Canada, but those damn Yankees wanted a straight line when forging the original map of the region. They wanted their straight line instead of going down the Fraser River. But you know what? Not anymore. Washington will now be officially part of the glorious country of Canada. On top of that, Oregon shall be absorbed into Canada because I really like the city of Astoria and I want more territory across the Pacific Ocean. And to be closer to the great California, but unfortunately we will not be absorbing California into the state. We instead will be taking Michigan because we are going to make the Great Lakes great again. We shall be taking Michigan as a province into the glorious country that is Canada.
Very well. I accept my Canadian citizenship and
Makes sense to me.
And with that being said, fuck Donald Trump. Hooray for Canada, my glorious home. Dylan Larkin, woohoo.
Yeah, but
I mean,
and all, like, honestly, on the note though of the Four Nations, like, it is really impressive how it really just all came out so perfectly for the NHL for this event to be a massive success, where it became clear that players were gonna take this way more seriously than they would the average All-Star game, which was always a great sign. You'll love to see it. But of course, elements out of their control made for what was, gonna be a good showing into a legendary showing. And, at the end of the day, there's many things that can be said about the Four Nations, but one thing everyone can agree on, it was a win for hockey.
It really was.
Mm-hmm. Probably the smartest thing Gary Bettman has done in years.
I mean, the thing that if I'm an owner of an NHL team, I'd be smacking Gary Bettman upside the head and going, "You fucking dumbass! Look what you held from us! Look what you could have done! Look how much attention that literally, like the first game between Canada and the USA, you could cut tension with a knife. Like, the tension was so evident that there's so much tension between these two nations, especially with all the nonsense that was going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all this just nonsense that was happening, we now have, it's showtime. The two rival nations in hockey, puck drops, fight. Puck drops again, second fight. Puck drops a third time, another fight. That has got to be one of the most exciting entrances to a hockey game. They read the room perfectly. They knew what we want.
This was literally the most tense political game of hockey since the Miracle on Ice, honestly.
Yeah, and for as much as I criticize the NHL for how it feels like they're always behind other leagues when it comes to really being up to date, or really presenting themselves as we have a fast game, we have great action for people who would want to get interested in the sport, and I feel like they a lot of times don't do the best job of that. But I will give the NHL credit that in a landscape where it feels like all-star games have become more meaningless than ever, the NHL really showed the blueprint on how, hey, this is how you can make the all-star break a whole lot more interesting. No matter how long it may stay interesting for, this is how you can do it. And it's been a while since the NHL has led the charge on something like this, where other leagues are having to catch up to the NHL on something like this. The NHL is the league leading the charge here, showing how, hey, this is how you make an all-star weekend a whole lot more interesting. And it's this, and the fact that last year the NHL held the draft at the Sphere, which was a great move by them. It feels like the NHL has been taking more wins where they feel ahead of the pack, and that's a great thing for the NHL.
Hot take. A huge thing that's helped the NHL is probably Sean McDonough being one of the play-by-play guys now. Like, he brings this palpable energy to the booth that on a national scale that I haven't seen other than like in RSNs.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it was gonna be tough to. I mean, you had to have someone replace, or not really replace, but at least like someone to fill the position of Doc Emmerich once he retired after 2020. And granted, Madonna isn't perfect in terms of his commentating. I feel like there's times where he can have a little bit of he feels a little out of his element with hockey, but I do think he's gotten a lot better than he did at the start, and the Stanley Cup Finals last year really showed that. And the fact that they have Madonna and I can't pronounce his last name, but I know his first name is Bob, and he's also at ESPN. He also does a great job. Yeah, like I feel like the commentary goes a long way, especially to a new audience that, they're not hockey fans, but they discover this, they watch it, and they're pleased by what they see, because, hey, it's an exciting product.
Mm-hmm. And like something that I think with the ability that the NHL just has to do, like, unfortunately it's something that the NFL is just never going to have, right? It's the NHL has just such a massive global reach. Like, the amount of ways you could get drafted into the NHL. You have, the Canadian Junior Hockey Leagues in Canada. You have the USA Hockey Developmental Programs. You have university you have, the NCAA for hockey in the USA that's slowly growing. It's growing more and more and more. It's growing more and more day by day. It's a legitimate way to be selected into the draft. It's just, you wish there was more clarity. Like, the thing that I would say would really help is that if there was more synchronicity, if you kind of know what I'm getting at, between the two leagues.
Synchronization is the word.
More of just
synergy.
Synergy.
That's
because.
Oh God, I'm becoming old because I understand what this corporate bullshit means. Put me down like the dog I am.
But like the thing that I find just with what I really wish it did, like how easy it is to go to the World Junior, like with the Canadian Hockey League, what they do with the Canadian Junior Hockey programs is that if you're a prospect, you could play for an NHL club for, I think it's 10 games before like your contract would basically get extended. Like it continues for another year. And then you still get to play a full season. You still get to like continue, where it's like you have to decide between college or the NHL. Like it's either one way or another. There's no real ways to go around it. It's either A or B. Yeah. There's more simplicity between the two football leagues. I'm sorry, the two
hockey.
The hockey leagues. We talk so much about
I'm afraid your boats are going binted.
My boat hath gone binted. But that's just the only thing I really wish. Like I think USA Hockey, in terms of development, they're trying to establish themselves as a pathway for players to get drafted into the NHL, right? But it's the easy thing is like you already have the Canadian Hockey Leagues. You can get a college education, but I think with the NCAA with what they have it right now, whereas you can get more years of eligibility for hockey, because I think Canada, you can only go up to 21 for the Canadian Junior Hockey Leagues, where it used to be 20, but now it's 21. Whereas university levels, I think you can go until you can use your up to 5 years, or it's 4 years and you can redshirt for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get an education on top of that too. So you have that that there, but that's not all. You have 2 tiers of Hockey League in Sweden, Finland, Germany. You have Hockey Leagues that are starting to grow in the Great Britain, France, Czechoslovakia. You have, as much as we hate to say
That
this,
place doesn't exist anymore. You're thinking of the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Sorry, Czech Republic and Slovakia. Sorry, my bad. You have those that have that are established abilities for prospects, where prospects, they play in their 2-tier system. They work their way up into, the big leagues, and that is something that is really cool. I really like what they have established, and even as much as it disgusts me, even Russia has a 2-tier Hockey League system, to where it is. You don't really want to be a top-tier prospect because they like to really fuck with your ice time. And it's to where you would rather and it's really hard to kind of break out of a contract. Look at, the lengths that I bet the Flyers had to go through. It was something I imagine wasn't fun to do at all.
Yeah, there's a reason Kirill Kaprizov was only a 5th rounder, because that's how shitty the contracts are in the KHL.
Those contracts are kind of just hard to break out of. It's hard. It's really hard. It is. Russia, you have to fucking pry prospects off their cold dead bodies because they want to compete with the NHL. And again, there's this whole, and it doesn't happen to current political times. Just really don't help, guys get drafted.
Yeah, take a look at what Trump and Zelensky are doing right now.
But no. If Trump were to get his way, right? Whereas the conflict in the Russia-Ukraine conflict would get instantly resolved. That would help so much out for Russian hockey. Because guess who's now eligible to get guys drafted again? Sorry, who's able to go back to the World Juniors? Which, the World Juniors is the biggest, it's the biggest glimpse for players. And, if you're, somebody that was going to be, a 5th round pick, if it's, guys that are, in the middle areas, and you have a really good World Juniors, your draft stock could just soar right up to in the 2nd or even a 1st round. A lot of scouting, scouting for the World Juniors is the biggest indicator for prospects. It's not necessarily the playoffs, it is the World Juniors. That is the biggest look at for prospects when it comes to hockey. And there's just so much of it that brings in when you have the 4 nations, you have the biggest nations when it comes to developing prospects. Now, I really felt like we really missed Russia in all of this. Because the one thing is, I get what's going on around the world, but it just felt like something was missing. That there was a nation that was drunk on turnips and pure vodka.
Unfortunately, they were also drunk on invading places that didn't belong to them.
True. Very true. But, felt something was missing. If you can't, because Russia is number 3 in the world when it comes to hockey. They are better than Sweden and Finland when it comes to developing hockey players. Right? It's just more of the process for the prospect is just a major fucking pain in my ass. It's just a fucking major pain in the ass. If you catch my drift. It's such a look what the Flyers had to do with Michkov, man. The fact that the work that the Flyers had to do to get Michkov to come overseas cannot be stated, and it's not being commended enough. People should be really praising the front office of the Flyers. The fact that they got a superstar player Michkov would have been drafted number 2 overall if it wasn't for the fact that he was in Russia. So yeah, but the Four Nations face-off was just,
anyway,
absolutely spectacular. I can't wait for the Olympics next year.
Isn't there a Maple Laughs you might have to review now?
You know what? It's the same as I've always said. Wake me up when the playoffs start. But there's some additional info that I would like to give, because I think I used to say this a lot before I met you guys. And what I said a lot was the thing that I really was really missing for the Maple Leafs when there wasn't this like Four Nations or Olympics kind of thing. They never had a real what I really like about stuff like this, like the Olympics and like the Four Nations, it gives guys that really don't have a strong chance at winning a cup a chance at winning something that's still looked at as the same level of a Stanley Cup, if you kind of catch my meaning with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Leafs never had that. They never had something that could show them that here's something that they could accomplish, that's something that is greater than themselves. And I feel like because the Big Four never really had that taste for it, never had that itch for like accomplishing something that is the equivalent of winning a Stanley Cup, that shows, yes, you can do this. Yes, this is what it's like to be around coaches and players that are not maybe of the Maple Leafs. I really felt like that, since that's like core identity was missing, that like drive was missing inside of them, I feel like it really slightly held them back from accomplishing something that was been really great, which was pushing for a Stanley Cup. And now since they have that chance, and now that, you know, especially something like you look at Matthews, who's got this real chip on his shoulder right now because of the Four Nations, because look who was on the ice, who let McDavid get wide open. Oh, it was Austin Matthews.
Which we all said this is a certified Austin Matthews moment.
It is, and I consider him to have more of a competitive drive than Mitch Marner. Like, this guy played Game 7 with a fucking concussion. Like, he was out, and we all thought it was like something with the head. No, he flat out had a concussion and played Game 7 under a concussion. So I have a lot of respect for Matthews for that. Like, he's got that more itch than Marner does.
Question is, did he even know he was on the ice?
Yes. So which is where you have this choke.
Because my thought, you know, like playing hockey with an active concussion, my first thought is Matthews like stumbling around like, oh fuck, where am I? Who are all these people? That horn, it's so loud. Why did they do that?
Oh no, he knew where he was, but it's like when you like with a concussion, your like brain's not total mush. Like, you do know where you are. It's just you're kind of limited in your ability of what you can do, and he still toughed it out with a concussion. Whereas Mitch Marner, totally healthy, felt like a ghost the entire time.
Oh, so
because I was gonna say, it felt like, I don't know why, but when I think of like a hockey player playing through a concussion, for some reason, what came to my head is like the idea of like the freaking, it's like a scene from Ratatouille with the rat just controlling like the hair and all that. That's what I imagine your brain's just going on. Your brain's just going on vibes. Like, your brain's not fully there, but you know what's there, and it's like, okay, fuck it, we're doing this.
That's a missed market for a Pixar movie. Ratatouille, but with hockey.
Ratatouille, but with a concussion.
You know, like some rat starts controlling, like, I don't know, like Connor McDavid's head, and
it was a rat the entire time. Linguini. So that's how French establishing themselves as a good fucking team.
Oh my god! No, it's Montreal, so it's like.
Oh no, it's even worse. Oh no.
Yeah. The entire story takes place in Montreal.
Oh no, you just made it even worse. No.
Fucking Ratatouille meets Air Bud. There's no rules saying you can't be controlled by a rat.
That is true.
Yeah, as long as they don't see it, as long as they don't spot it.
But yeah, you know, that's kind of what my review for the Maple Leafs was. If it's like a real taste of what could be like that drive that could be there, and they see that drive, are they going to act on that drive and make a deep run in the playoffs for the first time for what it seems forever? So
their last one was in 2002.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. They did beat the Lightning, and the good news, Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins. I couldn't see them being so dog shit. Couldn't have happened to a better team. Oh, they deserve every. Oh, they're so bad.
Every morsel.
Every morsel of being bad.
This is very based. It is very, very, very awesome watching the Boston Bruins crumble. And they find ways to crumble that they used to beat teams in those ways. They used to come back from big deficits. Now they're the teams blowing big deficits, blowing big leads.
So worth it. So worth it. Oh. Nothing makes me happier than
you want me to
so bad.
You want me to keep going? Because I got a little fun fact about the Boston.
There is not a thing that has been more destructive to a single NHL team in these past 3 years than Brad Marchand not scoring on that breakaway in Game 5.
Holy fuck.
Oh, that's the main character, Brad Marchand controlling people with the air.
Holy shit, you're right. You are so right. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Brad Marchand not scoring that goal in Game 5. Oh my god, you are so right.
It's like the Boston Bruins had that happen, and right after that, they entered into an alternate dimension, and this is how we've gotten to this point.
Just, oh my god, you are so right. How did I not think of that? I am stupid. Holy cow. But
maybe you're. Look, are you sure you're not doing this podcast with a concussion?
Could be. But like, if you think of it this way, though, too, right? Where look at all the teams that invested massively in free agency, and this is tale as old as time. Does it? No. I'm not even going to go. Does it work and be a dick around the? No, it doesn't work. Investing, like, we know this all too well. Investing in free agency doesn't work. Like, look at how much, like, I think kind of like the big themes are, is like, look at the teams that are rebuilding, have given up significant contracts to players that just aren't helping the team.
Oh, in hockey, I thought you were gonna mention the 2000 Washington Potato Skins.
No, it's the hockey. We're done with football.
But it applies in the same way, though.
This applies for all sports. But, like, look at this. Do you want, like, the Seattle Kraken, look at their hit rate when it's come to free agent signings. Do you want to know what their current hit rate is? 1 for
I don't know what
5.
That's true. 1
Like-
for 5.
Brandon Montour is 0.75, and like Chandler Stevenson is 0.25. I hate both of those contracts. Like, both of those contracts are going to age fairly poorly, but they've kind of worked because Bobrovsky has been horrible.
He's a loose cannon.
Like, it's not even the fact that he's just flat out horrible.
Sorry,
He's not producing.
Like,
Right,
Bobrovsky has been hurt and just hasn't produced, like, at all. And don't even get me started about Mr. X goals past Grubauer.
Everybody's favorite joke on Minnesota for years. Like, what time was it? Oh, about 5 past Grubauer.
Yeah, I love looking at the save percentage of 866.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I remember when he was on the Colorado average.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Like,
beautiful save percentage. Good God.
it's all just so bad. I think it's 1 for 4. I think it's 1 for 4. But like the free agent signings that the Kraken have done haven't helped the team, like, at all. And it's more of the line of like, there's like Jared McCann's good, Eberle is productive enough, but the young kids are playing, and they still have a very big prospect pool that's really going to grow into the system. But then you also have big money to Matty Beniers. Matty Beniers hasn't been good since his rookie season. So,
Oh crap! Is it Berniers?
Beniers is on year 1 of a big extension, and
No, I'm saying, is it pronounced Beniers?
Beniers, yeah, Matty Beniers.
I've been saying beignets for years.
It's Beniers.
It's almost as bad as me saying Vladimir Poutine.
Vladimir Putin.
But yeah, with the Kraken, like, just the way I see it with Seattle, like, there was a reason when Seattle got Chandler Stevenson, I was fine with it. Like, I like Steve-O. I think he's a good player, but he was not 7 years good. 7 years, 6 million annual average good. And it really shows that the Kraken, I feel like, going into making moves, or at least free agency, really feels like the Kraken got desperate in some areas, and it's contracts like Stevenson that really show what happens when you get desperate and you do things that, after a while, after, the adrenaline wears off, you realize, maybe this wasn't the best idea by me. Maybe this wasn't my greatest move. But, just looking at Seattle, what pisses me off about the Kraken is it feels like a lot of the problems that the Kraken had last season are still there, except it's on a higher budget now.
Mm-hmm. They really again. You fire your coach, you bring in. I mean, I'm fine with the coach bring Jessica Campbell, but it's like you're not really changing anything, and it's more of it's like you need to really shift from your identity of being able to run 4 lines. And like I think there's some good things that they've done. Best example, bringing Capo Caco was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Very good.
Capo Caco has done very well when it comes to he wanted to prove himself. He said, I'm better than being in a middle 6 role in the Rangers. I could play top line minutes. He wants a trade, And it's more like, and again, Rangers recklessly played this up for just nonsensical drama at the end of the day, to where it's, you look at it as like a whole, and it's like, oh wait, he really did prove like he can earn top minutes. And he's somebody I think the Kraken are gonna really like that's a trade that's gonna help this franchise for a long out. As like Shane Wright and Matty Beniers really grow into their roles for the team. So I think that they're gonna be really good. I just think it's just gonna take a little bit more time. There's the unfortunate side. I mean, you're gonna buy out Chandler Stevenson, I think, at some point when you're gonna have to pay Wright and Capo Caco and the extension for Capo Caco. I mean, I think you're gonna have to pay out those guys. But like the thing, especially with free agency moves, is when those happen, they have to work. Like look what the Blackhawks have done. Has Tyler Bertuzzi really helped this team? No. Like, the Blackhawks are my biggest punching bag because this is how I would describe. This is kind of like how you kind of describe just what happens when you really whiff on bringing in somebody with the idea of helping Bedard. So Bedard would skate around, deke 3 players. Like, it's okay. Context. It's 2-1, right? Blackhawks have their goaltender pulled. Bedard is skating down the ice. He dekes past 3 guys, passes it to Bertuzzi, who immediately coughs up the puck, gives it to the other team. The other team scores the empty net goal, and they lose the game.
Mm-hmm. That has been a very 2025 Blackhawks script right there. And you mentioned like how free agent moves, they need to work. One of the biggest examples that I can think of from this past offseason, because we mentioned Boston, Elias Lindholm, from all accounts, has been a disaster for the Bruins.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? He's
That is
worth a better deal than Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, but also, and this is, I'm really glad you brought up the topic of making moves, making your big target, of the offseason, where you really centered it. You center it around what you did in free agency. And one of the best examples of a team doing this and it not paying off, exploding spectacularly in their faces, have been the Nashville Predators, who just got a video on them by Tree.
Yeah. If I may speak on the flip side of free agency, though, thank God the Wild can participate in it next year, because Jesus Christ, I hated living in the shadows of the two-headed monster of those 2 guys that I can't remember right now. But like, they held back this franchise for so long, and I can't wait to see what the Wild are able to do in free agency now, and have it be like actual people we go for, and not like the Nick Bugstadts and Ian Coles of the world.
Oh yeah, Parisian Suitor.
Yeah, Parisian Suitor. That's who.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're finally getting mostly out from under those contracts starting next year, and I couldn't be happier.
But heed thy warning, Spencer. Don't get yourself trapped in that again.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm just excited for us to actually maybe go out and get some help, because as much as Rossi's been taking a big step up as a center, I still don't think he's ready to be a number 1. I still think it'd be good for us to maybe like go like do a little bit like No, I forgot what the point I was gonna make. I'm just it'd
Go and
be
do
nice.
good things. Like basically, just go out and do good things that help the team.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think the obvious thing is you're gonna go out and get Brock Besser. Like Brock Besser, I mean, you're not gonna really like the years attached to it, but I think Brock Besser would do a hometown discount for the Minnesota Wilds because he grew
Yeah.
up in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think that would be pretty cool to have, maybe pair him with Jonas Brodin if we can afford that.
So like those are like stuff that's like not real necessarily like big buys too, and not to mention what that is like someone like Marco Rossi, a contract extension's easy to do. You have a lot of room.
Yeah, the Wild are actually like sneakily in a very good position moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Garen has navigated this cap squeeze very well, and I'm excited to see what he ends up building around Kaprizov and the rest of the gang, as it were. That being said, this year kind of sucks because it's the last one of the squeeze, and also Kaprizov is hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think you guys should still make the playoffs at least at minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're currently set for a dance with Dallas, which you know how I feel about that. If you start hearing "fuck Norm Green" chants from West Michigan, you'll know why. Another team we could end up getting in the playoffs is the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes.
Which, yeah,
That is a great transition.
if that happens, look forward to maybe Nick and I having a bit of a watch along here.
Yes, that would be very based. If that happens, I would be more than down for that. From the sounds of it, though, it sounds like this would be a good transition for me to talk about the Golden Knights, because...
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect transition we got here. So, the Golden Knights right now are first in the Pacific, thanks to the Oilers stumbling out the gates of the Four Nations break. They've lost 5 in a row, and the Golden Knights, despite having some struggles leading up to the Four Nations, are currently in first place. Now, I will quickly talk about those struggles, because, the Knights from early January, or I'll go from the last game of 2024, December 31st against Montreal, to the game against the Islanders right before the Four Nations break. The Golden Knights lost a fair share of games. They lost 8 one-score games. So that was a little frustrating. A little bit frustrating, because there was aspects where the Knights weren't playing bad hockey by any means. They just weren't winning games. But we have figured some things out of the late. We've won 4 out of our last 5, 2-1 to start our return from the Four Nations, and many guys are still putting up strong numbers. Jack Eichel still having the best season of his career. Man's up to 70 points. He's over 50 assists on the season. You'll love to see
Remember
it.
how badly Buffalo treated Eichel?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That is going to be like the biggest stand on Buffalo's career. It's just the fact that just that hockey team is just known for having such incredibly talented players and then doing absolutely nothing with them.
Except making Steve Dangle very mad when they beat the Leafs.
Yeah, but I guess palm trees go burr, I guess. And on the note of former Buffalo players joined the Golden Knights, along with Eichel, Victor Olofsson is still producing very well. He's having a good season for us, which for a guy who is a fourth liner for Buffalo, that's pretty nice to see. Now, other guys have been doing well. Thomas Hertl has been He's been a very, very strong addition for us. He's been having a strong season. He has been amazing on the power play, which, goddamn, it is insane to say the Golden Knights have had a top 5 power play unit this season, and that is insane to me, because our power play outside of our Stanley Cup run has never been good. Like, seriously, this is amazing how great our power play unit has been. And a lot of that definitely goes to how great Thomas Hertl has been. Also, Pavel Dorofeev, who is by far our best young player right now. He leads the team in goals right now. 24 goals in 59 games. And, you know, for someone who for a while didn't really have the best path to the, or didn't have the clearest path to the NHL, how he's been doing for us, it's been very refreshing to see, because, you know, the Knights have never really been known for their youth, so having a young guy like Dorofeev do as well as he has, very, very nice to see. And one of the big things that I have noted about the Knights all season has been guys who have usually been on the bottom 6 have really been playing the best hockey of their career this year. Guys like Brett Howden, Keegan Kolesar have been, you know, 2 examples of guys who are really playing their best hockey, and it has really, really been nice to see. I mean, Keegan Kolesar had a 2-goal game last night, and the Knights have been, you know, the Knights are doing what they gotta do. They're doing what they gotta do to keep ahead of Edmonton, who, once again, loves tripping over themselves right now, which is always something I love to see. Now, on the note of the Golden Knights, some things still can plague us at times. There is a little bit of injuries. Shea Theodore is going to be out for 4 weeks because he did have a wrist injury. Apparently, he broke his wrist at the Four Nations, so he won't be back till mid-March at the earliest. William Karlsson has been out, but he should be back soon. That will be a big addition for us once he gets back. But on the injury note, it really hasn't been as bad as it has been in many years for the Golden Knights, because the Knights always seem to have a lot of injuries, and people can make as many LTIR jokes as they want. The Knights have always had a history of being injury prone, but you know what? This season it hasn't been that bad, and I welcome that. Now, the big question for the Golden Knights, there's 2 of them. Obviously, what do they do at the deadline, which I will get to in a bit. And the other one is goaltending, because Adin Hill's been alright. He's played better, he's had better hockey than this before, but for a goalie, for what we expect, he's doing what he's gotta do, and he's been playing better as of late, so Hill, I'm fine with. My big concern with the goaltending right now is, will it be good enough? And also, how many games is Hill gonna have to be starting? Because, Sammy's not doing good. Let me just say that. Sammy's been struggling, and it sucks to say, but it really says that, like, the last 2 games coming out of the Four Nations, which have been against the Kings and the Blackhawks, Sammy played back-to-back, which I'm guessing is because Hill's going to be starting a lot of these games coming forward. And in those 2 games against the Kings, he had a save percentage of .737, and the Blackhawks .773. And the Blackhawks one was pretty rough because we were up 5-1 after the first period, and the Blackhawks cut it from 5-1 to 6-5. Thankfully, for Ivan Barbashev, he scored a goal to put it away, and we won 7-5. But it's just like, ugh, I hate giving someone like Sammy the treatment, but it's like he's just not playing good hockey right now, and it kind of sucks with, the goaltending situation, because once again, Hill's been fine, but I look at, our second goalie situation, and I think to myself, damn, Would be great if we still had Logan Thompson right now. But oh well.
To back up Nick's injury concerns with Vegas, because I'm checking in the injury viz at the Four Nations break. Aside from Robin Lehner, who I believe retired, who was considered retired, who's missed 56 games, the player who's missed the most games for Vegas is, I believe, Victor Olofsson with 20 and a lower, with 21, one for an illness and 20 for a lower body. No one else has missed more than 17, which was which was William Karlsson. Usually this website has them at the top of the injury chart.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the Leafs right now, who are the most injured but still good.
Yeah, we're injured and we're still probably going to win. We could potentially win the Atlantic. Oh my god, I just said that. That word came out of my mouth. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that word came out of my mouth.
What, penis?
Yeah.
No, Leafs and winning a division.
Oh.
Anyways, while Luke cleans his mouth out after that, going into what I think the Knights will be doing, going forward for the deadline, because the deadline is quickly approaching. I don't think we're going to be getting another goalie, because not going to lie, I don't think the goalie market is that strong enough for Vegas to really, go and make a move for that. And also, I'm even though Samsonov's had his struggles, I'm fine if we are still going with the Hill Samsonov pairing, because I think Hill's going to be playing a lot more, and Hill's been fine. And not going to lie, if we go for a goalie, I don't know if it will be worth it, because once again, the goalie options right now are not the strongest. So, in that case, what do the Golden Knights do? Well, I don't think we're going to be doing much at the deadline, because Kelly McCrimmon has said that, they're probably going to be quiet at the deadline, which doesn't mean they're not going to do anything. But I think if the Knights do something, it might be something for like a bottom six or something, like the bottom six, or maybe they add another winger or something along the lines of that, because Vegas likes what they have right now, and for good reason. And I feel like, for as explosive as the trade deadline was last year, a big reason why we lost that series to the Stars in the first round was they didn't have the chemistry set. Like, they hadn't formed enough chemistry yet to where everything was clicking on all cylinders like it was for the Cup run. And that was kind of a big thing that where it's like, they did make a lot of moves last year, but, there wasn't enough time for them to really set the chemistry all together and, go and beat Dallas, which is why we lost in Game 7 against them to get knocked out. So I think the Knights' approach to this deadline feels a lot closer to 2023 than 2024. I'm still interested in seeing what we do, but it's gonna be a wait and see, because obviously it's the NHL, it's the Golden Knights, anything can happen, but I'm definitely expecting more of a modest trade deadline than like something that breaks the league and pisses everyone off.
Yeah, I don't think the Knights are going to be making... Like, they have stuff already set. It's more of just kind of moves that kind of just bolster the depth pieces.
Yeah.
In a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like something that I've noticed with NHL teams, especially in recent years, is there's a philosophy, or like there's something to look at where NHL teams know when the trade deadline comes, it's like, okay, like we would like to improve the roster, we would like to make the best team possible, but we also know that like something we don't want to do is fuck up the chemistry. We don't want to mess that up, and we don't want to like, all of a sudden, we've been playing well, but now we got new pieces in here. Now we got to reform the chemistry and all of that. And can we do that in time for the playoffs? Because that is something that I've been hearing a team like the Capitals right now are currently having that as their mindset, where it's like, if they do something, it will be for, like, the bottom 6, because the Capitals are just playing such great hockey that they don't want to mess up the chemistry.
Oh, the
Yeah, and like
Capitals.
it's
I
not
love
like really people could look at this year's trade deadline. It's like we've seen already lots of trades kind of already happen, right? I mean, we'll get to the Canucks eventually, but there's been a lot of trades that you'd think it's the trade deadline.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this is going to be.
I mean, you have fireworks going off a month before the deadline. Really says a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the way how I look at this is like, I think anything can happen. I think anything can happen when we're looking at just the NHL trade deadline as a whole. Like, I think we get enough of trades where like, oh, like this is impactful. But like, I think as of right now, I think we're getting two types of deadlines. I think we could be getting a really quiet deadline or a fairly active deadline. If you kind of catch my meaning.
Yeah.
I think we could be getting a deadline that's pretty active or quiet for the reasons of there's a lot of teams that when they went into free agencies, there was a lot of contracts that they completely regretted in signing. Like, they're like look at the again, there's also the Sharks that really can't sell anything because they can't retain salary. Same thing with the Blackhawks. They've got one retention slot left, but like, who do you want from this team? That would help. Like, I think there's something that can help them out, anyways. But like, are there teams that like it's a seller's market, which is something that like there's something that needs to be that's really to be said. And that is, it is going to be a seller's market. So there could be guys that are going to be undersold. And I think a lot of NHL teams are going to be looking at retooling. Like, I think the only real sellers that are going to get a good piece of the Seattle Kraken, I mean, Yanni Gourde, you might be lucky to get a second and a prospect for, but he's currently on LTIR. I think Jordan Eberle, he's only on a 2-year deal. So, like, the term is quite nice. And there's also Jared McCann, who might not be in the picture long term. So there's obvious options that, you know, a team like the Kraken could go into. But you look at the Preds and you're like, who can you sell? And it's, do you really want to... And then it all ends with, do you want to really sell Connor Sissons?
Yeah, I don't see Minnesota making a lot of moves this deadline because Bill's already looking down the barrel of his first free agency where the chains are really off. So I can't imagine him, trying to do away with any contracts unless he feels they're like really bad. Like, speaking of, I should probably check what the salary situation is for Minnesota going into this.
I don't think you're going to be retaining salary. You're going to be buyers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just seeing, if there's any obvious sells next year.
I don't think you're, like, if you're the Wild, you're not selling. You're going to be buying. It's more of what prospects can we sell to acquire talent.
Right.
So, it's because, like, the Blackhawks are not, like, anywhere close to selling. Like, they're good. They're good. Like, they're good. I mean, I feel like there's going to be, I think, more of a market for the off-season. And one of those teams, since we kind of got the space here, is the Vancouver Canucks because, do you guys want to know something?
What's that?
Do boy sure howdy, do you want to know, since the Canucks traded away JT Miller, would you guys like to know I want everybody to take a guess on the average goals scored per game. We're going to go with one person at a time. So Noah, how many goals do you think the Vancouver Canucks are scoring on average? Or Nick, how many goals do you think the Canucks score on average?
Between 2 and 3.
Yeah. Guess who's leading the team in points? Wait, hold on. I gotta pull up the Jeff Patterson tweet. I'm gonna pull that up. Let me pull that up. Let me pull up Jeff Patterson. Good old... No, not Jeff Patterson. Patterson. Fucking hell. Good lord. Jeff Patterson. Alright. So, since the JT Miller trade, what forward has produced the most points on the Vancouver Canucks? Just take a guess.
Take a guess. Shoot, which forward? God. I don't know. Someone like, I don't know, like Garland or something, or no?
Garland is number 2 for forwards.
Ah.
He's number 5 on the team, number 2 for forwards. Producing a whopping 8 points. The answer, kiddies, is Brock Besser with 10.
Oh, you mean future Wild player Brock Besser?
The person leading in points for the Canucks since they traded away JT Miller is Quinn Hughes with 16. He's only played 14 of the 20 games. Elias Pettersson has 7.
Damn.
He is number 7. Pew Suter has 8. Has 8 points. Garland has 8, but with 6 goals, 2 assists. Hronek has 9. Tyler fucking Myers is number 3. Tied with Brock Besser. In the last 20 games.
You know what?
Sounds like a yikes.
Yeah. But surely JT Miller's the problem. So it has come to the attention that what I've been hearing in circles for the Vancouver Canucks, we should be trading Elias Pettersson, and we should be trading away Brock Besser and retooling the team with the haul that we get. I'm hearing the possibility of the Vancouver Canucks could be the very realistic world where Brock Besser is traded to retool the team.
I don't think that would be possible because he literally hits free agency this
It's a rental, but think of it too. If you're the Wild and you trade for Brock Besser, it's likely something that you would. There's a high likelihood that it's signed and traded. It's a sign and trade. I think that is extremely likely. That he's signed and traded.
From the sounds of it, it sounds like with the Canucks right now, the situation hasn't gotten better. So it's now you're looking at, okay, we probably have to get rid of Pedersen because this isn't working with him. And you look at Brock and it's like, okay, he's a free agent after this year. Let's see what we can get for him in return, because chances are he's not coming back.
Like, the thing about it is, like, the thing with this, like, Canucks core is that the Canucks are on the verge of being dragged, kicking and screaming into a full-on rebuild. And Aquilini has totally expressed that he never wants to do a full rebuild with the Vancouver Canucks. He has told people this, that he never wants to be dragged in a full-on rebuild. He has told that this is like the Canucks. He never wants. He's the one owner that will never allow the Canucks to do a full rebuild. And the Vancouver Canucks, this hockey team, is on the verge of being dragged kicking and screaming into a rebuild. Why? Your star player hasn't been producing since he's signed his extension. The rumors are he could be injured. He might not be injured. I mean, he's made some insanely fucking stupid comments, such as, you know, I want to be the center of this team. And then it goes on the line of, you guys, I hate the media. You guys are putting too much pressure on me. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Did you think that this was going to be easy? Being the captain of this team? No.
No, you would have to fuck up big to make people side with hockey media over you. You have to mess up big and make yourself look like the biggest punching bag imaginable. But from the sounds of it, Pedersen pulled it off.
Like, Canucks fans are so frustrated because you traded essentially the heart and soul of this team. A move that Rick Tocchet just didn't like. And again, sure, from a managerial perspective, you're better than when you had Jim Benning. But, like, what else have you done? It's... The more things stay the same, the more things change, the more things stay the same. And the thing that's just continuously frustrating about the Vancouver Canucks is Aquilini's inability to surrender and say, hey, let's do a full rebuild. Like, they spent so many assets trying to rebuild this defensive core that, hey, what do you know? Free agent signings haven't worked, and there's nothing realistically in the pipeline that can help this team. So what do? We turn around and we look at, hey, what are some moves we can make? And we get nothing. And they forget you have Tim Wallander, and so they spend all these assets trying to build this core when all it was the cost of their top six. So, like, look at all the trades that the Vancouver Canucks have done and how they've just not helped this team whatsoever. Like, they haven't helped the Vancouver Canucks at all. Like, trading a first round pick for, man, I'm all kinds of stupid. Good lord. For Phil Peronic.
Oh,
yeah, he's been okay. trading another first round for getting Lindholm, who immediately walked in free agency. He was a rental. Like, it's been just dumbfounding that, again, even when the Canucks kept 2 first-round picks with the writings on the wall, it's like, hey, let's reload this team for the future. Let's reinvest into a prospect pool of some sort. You know, it's just moves that they have made just haven't happened, and they're praying to God that Niels Hoglander can get into a first-line role and Chaichel can blossom into a top 6 role. I like Jake DeBrusk, but he's more of a middle 6 forward. Same with Connor Garland. Same with Hugh Suter. Like, these are guys that I think are excellent playoff warriors, but like, we need more than just the playoff grit. There's no talent in this forward core anymore. And especially if we're all banking on Elias Pettersson to do anything, you get the bet that they made.
If I may offer a bit of a trade offer to the Canucks, how would you feel about
if you're saying Marco Rossi for Brock Besser, deal?
No, I'm saying not Rossi. What about Zuccarello?
No. The delusional trade the Canucks fans are hoping for is Rossi for Besser, 1-for-1.
Right.
Because that's
you'd have to
the retooling move for the Canucks to make.
Right. You'd have to throw in at least a second or something.
I think it would be because it'd be interesting what you can do, but the idea with it is if you had a contract, it would be, I think the thing that would lock this in is if you traded for Brock Besser and he was immediately extended long term. That's how you know that's a move that would absolutely, you would absolutely give Rossi for Besser.
Right. I just wish. Forgive me for being greedy, but like I feel like I almost want Ottawa's 4th as sort of a sweetener.
Alright, they would do that. They would do that. But it's like even like I usually do like Sakaris and Price, like those guys. I've seen what I've just been seeing going around, like what they've been saying. It's how the Canucks approach the deadline, and they said full-on sellers. They're not going to sell. They're going to retool. Like, if they were to sell Brock Besser, a first-round pick, and an A or B level prospect, Suter a second or third, Susie a second or third, and Forboth 4th or 5th, 4 picks and ammo, but it's not like the fact that I don't see them punting. I see them reloading this roster. And, I mean, you look at last night's game versus the Anaheim Ducks. What the fuck? Ducks.
The Anaheim Dusks.
The Anaheim Ducks. With the Ducks, they got destroyed by a bottom feeder. And it's again where they can't put up 3 or more goals in a game. And it's this, again, if Marco Rossi was available, they would be absolutely all over it. And it's a simple, you send Besser away. And
yeah,
again, he'd be in the 2C role, and it would be super perfect. But the thing with it is, the Canucks are a team. They're one of those teams that's in like the middle of the pack for hockey teams that need everything to go right. And the fact that Brock Besser, like, he turned down, I think it was a 6x5 he turned down because he wanted term with this contract. And the Canucks look like they're not willing to give that term. Whereas, I mean, if you're the Wild, you're like, our cap space is opening up. I mean, Kirill Kaprizov is just an excellent distributor of the puck to begin with, right? He is Kaprizov would be perfect for Besser because it feels like the thing for the Canucks is, gee whiz, they could use a Kirill Kaprizov. Someone to really distribute the puck around because they got talented shooters all over the place. But, here we are again. The Vancouver
I think the reason
Canucks.
I think the reason I'm so hesitant about giving up Rossi is because, like, he's currently our best shot at a number one center. Unless we like go like full send YOLO for like Austin Matthews.
Oh, you're not getting Matthews.
Because as much as I like Joel Eriksson Ek, I've always seen him as more of a two center than a. I've seen him always more as a second liner than a top liner. Like, obviously, my big thing would be, if we do give up Rossi, my big question is, can Brock play center? And
no, that would be a no.
Yeah,
Brock is a pure winger.
Yeah, and we already have kind of a logjam at right winger at the top. I mean, between Zuccarello and Hartman, and
but like Bresser would be an upgrade from Hartman.
True.
And not to mention, you'd probably get him for a hometown discount on top of that.
True, and it means we could dangle Hartsey for somebody desperate for a second writer.
So that's where it's like kind of like this the pipeline between Vancouver, Minnesota, and hell. We have a week. I think Friday is going to be one hell of a day. I mean, the NHL trade deadline has always been able to be exciting, whereas like the NBA deadline felt like the most earth-shattering news on the planet, given the fact that the Mavs trade Luka Doncic because the owners are trying to. I don't like what they're doing, man.
If I had a nickel for every time a Houston team did a really stupid trade, I'd have 2 nickels.
Houston?
Texas-based.
Yeah,
Dallas.
No.
Oh,
even
right,
Dallas.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's Deshaun Watson.
No, I'm thinking of the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Oh, that's
Okay, so
you. That's
Texas team. Let's just do Texas teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 Texas teams.
Yeah, because like, the one where Bill O'Brien officially lost any respect he had because he compared Nuke to Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, 2 trades involving the state of Texas that are going to completely backfire. I mean, you'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but, it's crazy that it happened twice. So, yeah.
Oh, speaking of, Houston Texans, I believe our resident Houston Texans fan also has a hockey team he'd like to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I want it, but at the same time, I'm not sure how much I can really talk about. Didn't exactly help that they just blew a 3-0 lead to the Penguins, where Garnet Hathaway just got blindsided by Imama.
Oh yeah, he's a.
We'll say right here that
great.
is usually uncharacteristic. The Penguins are usually a very clean team, and from what I heard, Sullivan benched Imama immediately afterwards. So respect to him and the organization for that. The right team still won that game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now back to more important matters. Thing about the Flyers is that I'm just concerned of how much this rebuild is actually going to work out. Because for a while, I was wanting to tank all the way. The rebuild itself had been halted for years because of how many bad contracts Chuck Fletcher sent people into, using the
I know all about that.
moniker. Yeah. And once he got fired, I thought it was going to be the start of a tank, starting to be in the bottom of the draft. But that's actually not happening because, well, Torts is the master at making Torch is one of the masters at making teams better than the sum of their parts. They were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league last year, and if it wasn't for a collapse, they would have made the playoffs. This year, they were expected to be one of the worst teams in the Metro, and again, they're still... While that is true, they're not, like, far and away one of the worst teams. They're up there and not that far from the playoffs. And it makes me... And it's refreshing, but also puzzling, because I'm just wondering if the rebuild is... If it's a sign that the rebuild is actually working, or if the rebuild is stagnating. The opposite say that it's working.
You got Carter Hart for being one of the 5 Canadian players convicted of rape doesn't help. Like,
yeah.
Losing Carter Hart was the worst thing that could happen to this franchise. The second worst thing to happen to this franchise was Kevin Lankinen signing a long-term extension in Vancouver. What could be a way around this is you'd be trading for Thatcher Demko. Because it sounds like the Canucks would easily pivot to Kevin Lankinen being the full-time starter.
But who would the Flyers trade in return?
It would be... It would be a first.
They've been wanting to get rid. They've been wanting to move Lawton for years now. I think Bristow's another one in trade talks.
I think it would be like an off-season move that the Flyers could do. It's like when the Canucks extended Lankinen, you're basically you're paying the equivalent of 2 starting goaltenders. In a way, right? You're paying 2 starting goalies. And when you're paying 2 starting two goalies starting money, the logical thing says you're going to move off of one of them. And Thatcher Demko is going to be available. What's the real knock against this? Well, the only knock against this is, the one knock around this is are you really going to be comfortable with Thatcher Demko because he hasn't played a full season? He's incredibly good, but he hasn't been healthy for a full season. He's been hurt every single year. And there's clearly something that's bothering him. So, you really don't know what the availability of a healthy Thatcher Demko kind of looks like right now. So, that's kind of the only thing that's against it. But, if you're the Flyers, and I've been saying this for a while, imagine if they had actual goaltending, because holy shit, isn't Michkov so good?
I guess I didn't realize that Zusi was on the Canucks at right now.
He is. He's available. Someone take him, please.
I remember him getting taken by Seattle all the way back in 2021.
I liked his leadership, but it feels like he's really the Canucks are were bad last year. I felt like they were really good with him on the ice than he was off the ice, and this year it's just he's a ghost. So yeah, but to the Flyers' point, no, you gotta admit, oh my God, is Michkov so good? Oh,
he is.
Mm-hmm. If you want to continue talking about the Flyers, no, the floor is all yours. I was transitioning Michkov isn't Michkov so good, and I was hoping the Flyers fan was going to glaze the shit out of him. So, no. Isn't Michkov just so good? He's incredibly talented. But, the Flyers, I think you will jump back into state of competitive hockey just by getting a goalie.
Hopefully so.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, We actually forgot for a while that Michkov actually was kind of struggling for a while, and there was a reason that Torch was benching him a couple of times, even if most Flyers fans didn't like it. Even I didn't like it, but I understood the reasoning behind it. He actually has been pretty quiet, and for a while it was actually Celebrini and Lane being the talk of the NHL for Calder. It wasn't until after the Four Nations break where he really became the Michkov that Flyers fans were hoping for. He's since taken the lead in goals. He's since taken the lead in goals. He has taken the lead in points, and he is now the Calder Cup favorite. I mean, not the Calder Cup favorite, the Calder favorite.
I mean, 58 games, 44 points. What's not to love?
I don't know. Probably the fact that you sound like, Mr. Ursay getting in his booger sugar collection right now.
It's allergy season's coming up soon.
But
Okay. Oh, okay, Mr. Ursay, it's allergies.
Michkov, Konechny, Tippett, Cates, Kuzmenko's been great. And the offense has actually surprisingly been really good, aside from those 3 games where they got shut out in a row. That was rather unpleasant. But aside from that, it's been pretty solid. It's just been the defense and the goaltending that's been a problem. Urson's been demonic ever since the Four Nations break, but he had a stinker against the Pens. And then there's Fedotov and Kolosov, who have neither have been really good backups. That's been a problem for as long as I remember. We did have Urson was a fantastic backup last year, but then everything wrong happened.
Yeah.
I feel like he couldn't really I feel like he's like a great backup, but like someone that really can't take the helm of like a starting goaltender.
By the way, I just realized the worst thing about you quitting Woodstone Pizza. The Aquilini plan is dead.
Oh shit, that's so true, chat. That's so true.
Now you can't have Aquilini come in for a pizza where he leaves the Canucks as a tip.
Shit, that's real. But you know what? The Canucks can stay bad. Let's see. Going through the stress of fast food hell or wiping down a table and getting paid a stupid amount of money to do that. Let's see. I'm gonna go. I'm wiping down the table for a stupid amount of money.
So I feel like we should talk about Winnipeg. Like,
Holy
where did that
shit!
come from?
Yeah, right? Like, I know Winnipeg's got great players, but the start that Winnipeg had, and the fact that it's being maintained. Oh, they better be making some noise in the playoffs, or else this is gonna be a beautiful and a classic one and done, which is so typical for a Canadian market. Like, I would love nothing more in this world than an Edmonton and Jets final, Western Conference final. I would love that so much. Of course, the Canadian would love that, because,
Mr. Ursay's secretary, what are you doing here?
Yeah, where'd you come from?
I'm sorry, I had to escape because he wanted more of that disco dust. But he used the emergency supply.
Oh, God.
Get back here! I need more of that jungle snow.
Mr. Earthy, you're gonna overdose again! It's a stupid character.
No,
I need to think of what we're gonna do for the draft! I need to know if we're gonna take Jackson Dart with our first round pick. I've been seeing and I've been touching myself looking at his college footage.
I called it Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it's the perfect move too. Oh, good lord. We live in the goofiest timeline of all timelines. It's just so goofy with it all.
Goofy history.
But yeah, also like the Capitals too, man. Holy shit, where the flying fuck did this come from?
The power of friendship, man.
Yeah, it does wonders. Turns a team that barely made the playoffs last year to one of the best, maybe the best. And also,
I'm scared.
I want to see Ovechkin break the record this season. We all do.
I really do, man. Holy smokes. Like, also,
So
side
close.
note, could you imagine Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin on the same... Like, it's never gonna happen! But, like, can you imagine... Like, does someone is able to do the Twilight theme? The Twilight Zone, Twilight Zone! Can you imagine this world, in a world where Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin were on the same team? Longtime rivals in the NHL world, being compared to often as one of the two best hockey players in the world during the time of their primes, playing on the same team. Folks, we don't like to think that a world like this could ever coexist in our lifetime. But the fact is that there is a slight chance that this might happen. Could this happen? Probably not. But imagine if in a world where Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin are on the same team. And imagine us being here next week talking about how maybe the trade that nobody's talking about could happen, that there's no way in chance of hell happening, actually happening. We call that the Twilight Zone. And something to think about as we brace the NHL trade deadline in all of its chaotic glory. What pieces will the Seattle Kraken sell? Could the Ducks just offload their rebuild of a rebuild and enter in the same tier of the Buffalo Sabres? How will the Buffalo Sabres one up their trade deadline? Could Mikko Rantanen get traded again? All these questions and more will be answered in the world of Ifland. In the next episode of the Untitled Sickos Project, we grade the trade deadline. Until then, we will see you in the next week. And they'll see you Sunday for Taegan Rampa. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Seattle Mariners review.
And I'll see you when I see you, because, you know, like, I'm like this channel's deadbeat dad. I just go out for milk sometimes. Milk and Marbies.
Go out for milk, Lamau. Anyways, we shall see you next time.
Later.
In the next
fuckers.
Untitled Sickos Project. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you don't want to be the Buffalo Sabres.